Good morning, everybody. How are you today? It's Sunday, October the 6th, 2024. Our lives are rapidly just racing by. Welcome to Libra season. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here every Sunday morning to do your weekly astrology where we go over the chart. Well, I don't bring up the chart, but we talk about the chart, and then I do your weekly tarot and angel reading. So it's going to be an interesting week. We've got Jupiter stationing to go retrograde in Gemini. And this is very powerful because here in the United States, the media has been under scrutiny for how it's presenting its information. And I think that is very much Jupiter's transit through Gemini, as Gemini represents literally represents journalism, and it represents the media, and it represents our social media platforms. So here we're going to see Jupiter revisiting some of the themes it's already walked through. So Jupiter goes retrograde on the 9th at 21 degrees of Gemini, and it will retrograde all the way back to 11 degrees. Now, this is sort of the middle area of Gemini. So to me, this is really revisiting not only the information that's coming at me, but how I discern that information or how I process it. If we think about the idea of Gemini, Gemini rules the mind, and the mind very much rules or is ruled by the ego. It looks at its material, where am I? What do I have to do to get where I need to go? So a lot of this is going to come into play because Jupiter is going to sort of open up the idea of what is your philosophy, what is your beliefs. And also Jupiter rules the higher courts, it rules higher education, it rules our businesses, it rules publishing, writing, branding. So we're going to see a revision of the expansion of this opportunity and really much a discernment. Gemini is really two things and the discernment between it. So I think this is very powerful. We also have Pluto stationing at 29 degrees 38 minutes of Capricorn. Last time that Jupiter will be in Capricorn for 248 years. And it isn't lost on me that 29 degrees 38 minutes reduces down to 1111. And this is where, I'm sorry, did I say Jupiter? I meant Pluto in Capricorn is stationing at 29 degrees 38 minutes, really stopping and standing in the sky and saying, have you really looked at what you're thinking? Are your fears dominating you? Are you feeling repressed? Are you feeling, and where are those limitations? Where is the impetus of those limitations? Because some of them could literally be physical structures. We know that, the south of the United States is being pummeled right now. I mean, it's unbelievable, the hardships that some people are going through right now. And that very much feels like it's could be Uranus. Feels a little bit in there. Uranus is having an interesting conversation in Taurus. But the reason I bring up the 29 degrees 38 minutes of Capricorn is I also believe that it is revealing to us how the authorities in our life affect our thinking and our possibilities. We know that Capricorn rules the highest point of the chart. We know that it rules the 10th house. That 10th house is a 1. We know it rules ambition and drive and many ways obligation, duty, authority, repression. So here we're really revisiting our government here in the United States and how they are doing their job. And this is very obvious as a result of Helene. And then there's a storm coming. Milton or something is on its way. So I want to just say prayers for everybody in that area. Please be safe, hunker down. Don't take any unnecessary chances, because I do think that these transits are very powerful right now. These slower transits, they change things permanently. So Pluto's transit through Capricorn is changing fear, repression, government, authority outside of ourselves permanently. So I think that's important to pay attention to, because we also just experienced our eclipse last week, and we're going to have a full moon on the 17th. I know that's not this week. We'll talk more about that. But interesting for me, the sun will be on the fixed star Spica, which is the voice of angels. So I really think that the voice of the angels resides on the inside, the things that we hear from our soul, from our heart. So I think that's going to be very, very important. We also see Venus in a trine to Mars in Cancer this week, where Venus is, both of them are in challenging energies. Venus is in Scorpio, where she's in detriment. We know Mars is in Cancer, where it is in fall. And the difference between the two is that when you're in detriment, you just feel so out of control. You don't know the landscape, you don't understand it. And there's a very strong sense of feeling sort of not empowered. Okay. When the planet's in fall, it feels its power, but it doesn't feel its voice. It's not respected. So here what we see is Venus, representing the female in the sign of Scorpio, does not feel in control of her feminine receptive energy due to the Scorpion energy that could potentially be feeling manipulative, overpowering her, and feeling a sense of control through her fears. Now we see Mars in Cancer, where Mars has to emote. Mars has to swim through the waters of the human dynamic of you know, if the mind and the air element represents the ego and ambition, then the water element represents the ability to receive and to connect to the soul. Mars is not used to that. Mars is used to pounding the ground and being in the 3D world, as it is exalted in Capricorn. So what we have in this trine is an opportunity to start to feel harmony within the energy that makes me feel uncomfortable. I think a lot of us might be experiencing that on a deep interior level, because Scorpio rules that psychology and Mars rules our action of our psychology. Meaning Scorpio, and then Venus rules our self-confidence. So I want to offer it this way, because how it's playing out for me is there's war in the neighborhood all the time. There's somebody cranking out about something. But how I respond to it is what really matters. And it doesn't mean I don't struggle with a reaction. I'm Mars ruled. And at the same time, I'm able at this point to think long term if my reaction will really take me where I want to go versus holding back. So, meaning holding back from reaction and taking inspired action. All right. So, and that would be a Jupiter thing. Jupiter offering inspired action moving forward. All right. Now, what I want to tell you, I want to welcome everybody. Hi, Catherine. Hey, Small Wildflowers. Hi, Jules. Hi, C. Cheatham. Okay, everybody. So I got a new tarot deck. I think it's called the Star Tarot. It's very pretty. So what I've done is I have, I'm going to use that today. So we're going to look at that. And we're going to use that as our start. And of course, happy birthday to my fellow Librans this week. Again, the Libra energy has been squaring Pluto for quite some time. Now, while you middle grounders, meaning the people who have their birthday this week, have probably not been feeling that as strong as the late born Libras, because obviously Capricorn, Pluto's in the late degrees of Capricorn, but you've still been under renewal. It's still been offering you this continual fork in the road of choice. And having the South Node going through Libra is also been kind of, tasking you to really look where your ego is playing to the outside crowd, the applause of others, or whether you're aligned to God and to your soul's wanting and desire. And sometimes that's individualizing yourself. Because as a Libra rising, which is how this rolls, I didn't even do my normal welcome to all the people who don't know how I do this. Oh, well. There I am again, fabulously flawed. But because Aries being your seventh house is very much going to indicate that an individuality within your relationships and your collaborations on a contractual level. So let's look and see what Libra's card is. Yay. Very pretty deck, I think. The Four of Swords. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so natal Pluto at 0 degrees of Libra. That's pretty. That's on the world axis, really. On that. So this is where the knight needs rest. So Libra, what I want to offer you through this is what we see is that this character is in some ways meditating, praying. As the hands are over the heart, there's an honoring of the heart. There's also a feeling that everything that I can do physically has been done, and now is time to rest and connect with God and the angels. The bears, really, if they're bears, they kind of look, they're bears, but they sort of look like possums to me. But they're protecting our night, okay? And then we see the salmon beneath offering sustenance that will be provided. Whenever we see the air element, we're always seeing the mind and how the mind affects. So for Libra this week, the tarot card is offering you an opportunity to rest, to review, to relax, and maybe even think a little bit. I believe that Gemini is your ninth house. And as you rest, and I want to offer it this way, because the rest is not really about like literally sleeping. It's probably more about giving whatever worry you have, whatever concern you have, a rest, sort of turning it over to God and the angels, and then recognizing that as Jupiter goes through your ninth house of Gemini, which is interesting because Jupiter naturally rules the ninth house. So here we are, familiar and not familiar. That's a weird feeling. But there's an opportunity through this rest, because we see stars everywhere. We almost see this character blanketed in stars. There's something about those stars that are bringing forth a memory from my soul. Isn't it a pretty deck? I think it's really pretty. It's always sketchy when you buy something on Amazon because, you have to bet the few cards you see are nice. So Libra, Four of Swords. This is an opportunity to rest, to relax, to sort of understand that at this moment, your job is to put your trust in your intentions, your trust in your focus, your trust in your awareness, and then allow spirit to take you out of the rest and into your next logical action. Let's go do our angels and our Camelot deck. Hey, Posted Up, good to see you. All right, our first angel is the crystal. Have faith and hope there's something more on the horizon that you can't see. That's resting and knowing you're being protected while God and the angels move things around. Grace and Antoinette is about compassion. Francesca is about where my focus is, because when my focus is on worry, it blocks my manifestation. And then Caressa says you're at the end of a life cycle. New happiness awaits you. I haven't looked at Hay House in a while. I went through a big Doreen Virtue phase when I was certified. And so I had a whole bunch of Doreen Virtue decks. And then I literally took them, brand new decks, and put them out outside on the street, and people just take them randomly. But I only use this one deck of hers anymore. I'm looking for a gilded tarot. That's the one I really want to find. Yeah, I don't like her energy anymore. Sometimes something hits me, and if I don't like the energy of it, like let's say I bought something, or this is the other weird thing about me. If I get into a fight with somebody and I feel that their energy is suddenly poisonous, I will get rid of everything they ever gave me because I don't want it. Hey, Carly. I'm really careful about energy. I'm so sensitive lately. All right. We are on Libra, our happy birthday Libras. We have Crystal, faith and hope being joined by this rest that the Four of Swords has to offer in the form of restriction. This is definitely a baton pass. The Grail Knight is offering you compassion as you bow down to the trust you have in God and the angels. Then we have Francesca being joined by the swan, which is really where you start to take off and start to trust the energy of transformation. You know, what sometimes humans are so in this day and age raised with immediate, like, I want immediate results. You know, we turn on our phones, we say, hey Google, where's this? We get it immediately. Back in the day, you had to sit in your car, open the Thomas Guide, flip the pages, look around, and figure the damn thing out. And I say that because this Four of Swords is really saying that this is an opportunity to recalibrate, like to almost like resting for the next big lap of movement, because Caress is saying something's ending, but something new is beginning. And to me, this is really taking you into an energy of being aware of your fears and how your fears paralyze you. And then, because I want to offer this, I've said this many times on this show, that fear, without fear, the soul would never experience exhilaration, achievement, accomplishment. You know, I can't tell you how much it empowers the soul through the human experience to walk through something they didn't think they could do, they could achieve, they could believe about themselves. That's why you get like a high after you do that. This to me is the end of your fears, not the end of them, but the end of their power and their paralyzation over you. Because now, Libra, you're learning how, when you're in a place of exhaustion, when you've been fighting the good fight all by yourself, now you are going to learn how to slow down and then allow spirit to comfort you and blanket you and keep you warm while the components are being put together for the next logical step. Okay. That's for our Libras. Our birthday month, we start with the birthday month and we work our way around the zodiac. So now we're headed to our Scorpios, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And you early born Scorpios could be feeling Pluto square already, because it will start to square the early born Scorpios, and having it floating at that 29 degrees, 38 minutes. Those of you that are 0 degree, anywhere from 0 to, say, I like to keep kind of a tight orb on this, because the energy moves so slowly. It feels very concentrated. So those from 0 to, say, 4 to 5 degrees will be feeling this square very strongly. And I want to offer this because those first few degrees of Scorpio are conjunct the Shapley attractor, where whatever planet in your natal chart, and if it's your sun, is on that point at 2 degrees of Scorpio, you are here on some level to release toxicity, falsehoods, lies, power, and control over you as it relates to that planet. So if it's your sun, it's obviously your ego ambition. If it's your rising, it's your perception. It's how the possibilities you give yourself. If it's your moon, it's about the emotional things you hold on to that could potentially be tanking you. So let's see what your card is. The Five of Pentacles. Now, this is an interesting energy, because the Five of Pentacles is where Spirit is offering an opportunity to enlighten, to support, but the characters are so entrenched in their issue that they can't see it. So here we see these 5 pentacles above this character. We see him looking down. He's not even looking at the animal. The animal appears to be protecting him while he's compromised in his energy. And yet we see that the interesting thing about this to me is that in the circle and all the stars around it, that feels like it's stars around in the circle, and then there's snow. And these mountains make me feel as if this character can only see what has been cold, what has not worked. And yet at the same time, I feel as if the wolf sees the future. The wolf, look at the tail on the wolf. While it's not in a confident position, it's not tucked in, it's calm. So somewhere there's a potential for enlightenment, but that enlightenment is going to come from connection to spirit. And I want to offer this too, because this is a card of challenge within your health. So if you're very stressed out, And we know how stress affects the health. This would be an opportunity to truly free yourself, the 5, from things that are illusionary. And then I want to go back to the Shapley attractor. Thank you, posted up about my sweater. I like it too. All right, here, let's go. Scorpio, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And I'm telling you, the more I do astrology, the more I really think even the moon is more important than the rising, because the moon is our emotional body that sets and continues to confirm our perceptions. All right. Scorpio, your first angel is the angel of romance, Chantal. The second is Archangel Michael, offering courage and protection. Isabella is saying yes, the timing is right for happiness. And then Grace and Antoinette is offering compassion. You know, it's funny because many of the Libras or people that I've seen who have, squares to Pluto right now, because we've had the fixed signs starting to feel the aspects as Pluto went into Aquarius and then dipped out. So all the fixed signs are going to feel it. There is a possibility that if Pluto broke something up or put something away where it belongs, then something much better is coming in. And part of that is your ability to look up. And I can't help but refer to people like Gwen Stefani. You know, she experienced her Pluto square. Her marriage cracked up in a most public way where she was humiliated by her husband's infidelity. And then she thought her life was over, and she goes on this dumb show called The Voice, and her life just begins. All right, Scorpio. Chantal's being joined by the mystery card. Mystery is about choice and the free will of the human. Archangel Michael's being joined by the deer. Isabella's being joined by the Lady of the Lake. And Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the eagle. Now, whenever we see birds in anything, we're looking at symbols, signs, and omens. But when we see the eagle, we're talking about immense protection from spirit. We're talking about, this connection that is unbreakable. So here, this character is missing his connection. He can't find his freedom because he's too busy looking at what's been cold. And that can be a bit of a challenge, especially for Scorpio moon, because you're a fixed moon and you're a penetrating energy. And in many ways, that penetrating energy wants not just to be seen for the challenge of it, but for the benefit of it. So now I think it's about time to choose romance, but in a way that serves a deeper truth. And we see that evidenced by Archangel Michael asking you to have the courage to walk away from your fears and to step into your deeper truth where the happiness is. Now, I just spoke about the Shapley attractor at 2 degrees of Scorpio. So everybody, if you have anything within 5 to 10 degrees, I think it's even 5 to 12 degrees, but I'd have to check. The tighter the orb, the more intense the feeling, but any personal planet that you have on that point is going to be where the release comes from. So please, as you're gentle with yourself, there's a war. You can feel the war here between the head and the heart. And now Spirit is saying, have compassion for yourself as we bring forth that which you've asked for. So Scorpio, if you've asked for the kind of love that feels like you want to crawl under someone's skin, and you're in a situation where there's either no love or the love is superficial, then that could crack up the 5 of Pentacles, feeling a little bit of rejection. I like to soften things. It's a strong rejection card. It's also a card that challenges my health because I'm so focused on my problem. So now it's about choosing an elevated experience and then calling that forth. All right, let's go on to our Sagittarius's rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. All righty. Your tarot card is the 9 of Wands. Now, this is very interesting. We see the 2 wolves representing not only duality, but also loyalty and a ferocious loyalty. This character is very much protecting what is his. That red robe is very much playing to the base chakra. It's interesting here because in this particular deck, we see the eight, there's 8 wands on either side of him. So there's a sense of balance. And then when I see the wand he's holding, that feels almost as if it is his connection to the divine. Whenever we see 9s, we're always looking at some sort of culmination of a cycle. And here, I think potentially for my Sagittariuses, this could be an opportunity to understand the balance between the contrasting experiences of light and dark and how they actually really do give us that feeling of empowerment, of achievement, of exhilaration. And this guy, if you can't see, but his eyes are kind of closed and we see the sun behind him. So there's something that's illuminating him and enlightening him beyond what he has experienced. This is very much, this guy has experienced something that makes him need to protect himself, but then there comes a point where you're overprotecting yourself, where you're getting in your own way, as they say. Okay, here we go. Sagittarius, what could you be potentially protecting yourself from that is no longer necessary? Or standing guarded, not trusting. Our first angel is Grace and Antoinette, the angels of compassion. We have Athena, assertion of power. We have Layla, spending time with God and the angels. And then we have Francesca, which is about focus. So your ruling planet is going retrograde in your 7th house. And this could very much be that you've been burned in partnerships, or you've been feeling a sense of trepidation or an unsureness, or there isn't enough information. Sometimes with the Gemini energy, you just get like, it almost feels like you're on a need to know basis. And those of us who think a little bit more deeply, like a Scorpio energy, would be like, wait, you left out a big piece of information. And the Gemini energy would be like, oh, did I? I didn't mean to. I didn't, because Gemini, again, is those short bits of information, the taglines. So somewhere there's a sense of protection from duality or from contrasting experiences. And Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the owl. So that even plays more to having an awareness and sort of stepping above the situation and being able to look at it. The owl representing omens and messages about the duality. If we think about the idea of Sagittarius being ruled by Jupiter, Jupiter again is in its most challenging detriment in your 7th house, but Jupiter is also a world traveler. So Jupiter is being tasked to look at the details. Here, I would think this would be, are you overly protecting yourself in some way? Are you still playing to an old wound that could have potentially transformed you in a way that you're not paying enough attention to the benefit? Athena is being joined by the goblin. So here we have the wounded ego. It's time to assert yourself beyond the old wound, beyond what has happened, and give yourself a fresh start. Layla's being joined by the hawk. Okay, there's more signs and omens, but this is very interesting because the hawk is asking you to broaden your sight. Here we see the owl. The owl is illuminating something, but the wings are tucked in. Here we're seeing flight. The angels are saying, talk to you, and it's an 11. So the 11 also, oh, this is interesting. Here, this is a 13, and this is a 31. So somewhere something's gone hunky-dory. Something's gone wonky. Something's swapped out. All right, let's see where we're going. And I want to offer this too, because sometimes this is not about a human, but about an experience. Let's say All right, we have Francesca being joined by the bee. Let's say you're a Sagittarius and you've been either trying to get a job or you've been wanting to, start a family. And for some reason, things have not moved forward. And maybe you've inadvertently been holding your fire, your passions at bay because you're still guarded about something, or you still are aware of the potential pitfalls, consequences, problems that could arise. Now is a time to look above that, to recognize that the ego is an alarmist. The ego is an alarmist. It will always say, I don't know. I don't know. You think you're that good? Because now Francesca is saying, turn away from what has happened and move towards the victory that you want. This is very important. It's a good luck. The bee is very good luck, but it's also about my being energy. So what is my belief? Jupiter rules my beliefs. And as I slow my Jupiter expansive to look at the details, to let myself really take a minute to examine, well, this is the pattern I've seen, and that this pattern is different than maybe a pattern I've experienced before. So I don't need to be as guarded. I can just be aware and have spirit have my back. I hope that made sense. Okay, here we go. Loving the new deck. It's kind of fun. I haven't bought a new deck in a long time. All right, here we go to our Capricorns, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your tarot card this week, the Knight of Cups. This is just love, love, love. There's fire and water here, meaning in the most passionate way. This little guy just, the knights represent that sort of young male energy, or the young energy of exuberance, of being able to accomplish something. This wheel here represents, it's like a labyrinth kind of thing, but it also represents this ability for fertility, that your cup is full. And even if you've been through storms, you have an ability, as you keep your head up and you keep your head towards the light, God will fill your cup. It's interesting too, because I get such a strong sense of fertility with this. And I don't just mean with making a baby per se, because all the fishes that are going around that labyrinth, which I think is something that represents fertility as well, makes me feel as if there's a cycle of things. And as we trust that whatever I need will be, fish sustain, fish feed. Jesus fed thousands with fish. So let's see where we're going with this cup, with this gentleman. I feel like what it's going to be, Capricorn, is giving you a position to assume, like Spirit's going to say, be the Knight of Cups. Even if there have been hurdles that you've had to jump over, that now is a time for fertility. And that fertility means that whatever you need in the way of money, resources. And again, I really want to offer, I'm looking up to the stars to help me be who and what I want to be. Meaning this. Hold on, I got to look at this cup for a second. This cup has more birds on it. They look like cranes. There is a heart with a star in it, and it's the birds taking this up. So to me, I want to offer this. I know that the world is going through very unsettling times, and many people are finding themselves in incredible crisis right now. And at the same time, the hand of God is on this situation. And as you move through the storm, it's so weird that this cups, we see this water coming up. I can't help but think of the people stranded in the south in this other storm. But as you connect with God and the angels, bounty will come back, and it may come back better than it was before. Let's see, Capricorn. Our first angel is Teresa, the angel of worry. The second is Desiree, indicating times are not good. There's Adriana, you're being led somewhere. And then we have Bridget, representing a need to look deeper. Here we go. I think the room's quiet because Saturn is about to station retrograde too. It's slowing down its roll. It's creeping down to 12 degrees of Pisces, and Pisces is spiritual. So Saturn might be affecting the room there. Hold on. Teresa's being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. Desiree is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Adriana is being joined by the Queen. And Bridget is being joined by the forgiveness card. This is so interesting to me. Good morning, Queen Leo. So here we are, Capricorn. This Knight of Cups is very much about emotion. And whenever we see the Knights, we're seeing the element of fire. We're seeing that passionate phase where, you're all buff and you have all your body feels like you can do anything. And here, this Knight is in some ways, he's galloping through an emotional storm. And he keeps his eye on this prize of this cup where he knows that his heart is going to take him where he needs to go. And Spirit will provide all the bounty necessary for him to achieve what he needs. So here, Spirit is saying to my Capricorns, there's no need to worry. Your rebirth is giving you an opportunity to live a more authentic existence, a more heartfelt existence, because when we live in duty to others, it gets very wearing when we don't fill our own cup up. The Knight. Now we see Desiree and the Lady of the Lake. So yes, there is a storm a brewing between your head and your heart and what you know and what's expected of you and what your mind, your ego tells you you should be doing versus the things you want to be doing. And Desiree is saying, this would be very much a slowdown. Like literally, I'm going to, because this next few months, as we experience Jupiter's retrograde in the sign of communications and thinking, there could be illuminations that we have as a result of this experience. Because this to me is saying, don't try to fight. Don't try to fight the storm right now. It's more about assessing what benefits come from it. And then we see the Queen and we see Adriana. And this makes me feel as if this is about you sitting in a place. Capricorn, you are a builder. You are going to move the story forward. You're going to plow the fields. You're going to do it until, with the rain and everything, you're just going to keep going, going, going. Will that actually serve the long term? Because this would say to rest, to stop worrying, to allow for the rebirth. Adriana is offering you a receptive energy to learn how to receive versus the earth signs are very much sort of encased in this human experience. And sometimes it's a little bit harder to move into those realms of understanding the emotional needs that the soul wants to experience through the human. Because Bridget is saying, when you look deeper, there's a reconciliation coming. Now, when I say a reconciliation, I don't mean two people reconciling an argument. I mean two sides of myself are understanding a challenging situation that's had me worry and feel as if I don't have my own footing. Both of these cards make me feel like I'm standing on water. I can't stand on water. I have to learn how to float. I have to learn how to be flexible because the water is going to take me. I'm not going to take the water. And this is further evidenced by this Knight of Cups. So I think for the most part, for my Capricorns, that this is about connecting to Spirit, connecting in a way that understands that as you take care of you, you're able to take care of others. That if there has been, there's Capricorns all over the South that are experiencing this challenge. And if you happen to be one that is still here, you could inadvertently, I don't know how to say this. I feel like whether you're knee deep in it at ground zero or you're watching it from the outside, it's all hard. It's all difficult and we don't understand. So here, whatever's going on in your life, whatever you're responding to, if it is kicking up emotions, then it is a time to connect with Spirit, to let Pluto do what it's been doing in your first house, which is rewriting your perception And it seems like a storm, interior or exterior. As you connect with spirit, you will see a wisdom, and spirit will start to bring more things that will make you feel bountiful. The queen and this fertility card, meaning this fertility energy I feel here, and these fishes marry very much with this. So now this is offering me a reconciliation, but I cannot actually see where it's coming from. I can only look deep into my motivations as emotionally. And if I'm about to take a fear-based move because I can't see the outcome, because worry will make you make a move that might be based on an old story. Absolutely. I've been saying prayers for so many people, our country, all the people that are standing in the line of fire. And there's so many people, you know. All right, here we go. On to our Aquariuses, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And for those of you that just came into the room, I'm using a new tarot deck this week that I bought. It's called the Star Tarot. I always like when people talk. I think they're so pretty, these cards. All right, let's look and see what's happening for Aquarius. Oh, this is nice. Look at the sun. Always a good energy. Things grow in the sun. We see this beautiful butterfly. Yeah, it's a butterfly. It's interesting. It reminds me very much of, oh my goodness, there's this movie. I'm trying to think. Oh, I think it was one of the Maleficent movies where all the little nature characters were actually had little bodies and were like alive. But this is where everything grows. This is where you're being protected. And we see the heart in the middle of this, and the yin and the yang. So it really represents that there's always going to be, no matter what, there's going to be a duality of some kind. And as those dualities come together, in order to manage them, it's about coming from your heart. And then the purple blossom flower are the layers of spiritual connection that will help you align to a deeper truth of manifestation. All right, let's go, Aquarius. Queen Leo, where do you live? What state are you in? We had an earthquake yesterday here in California. I didn't feel it, but it was inland. All right, here for our Aquarius is rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Chantal, the angel of romance. Wow, that's pretty scary. Shanti is joining Chantal. This is again for our Aquariuses. Shanti is the angel of peace. Chantal is the angel of romance. Fiona says, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. And then we have Oceana. The sun also rules the sign of Leo. Leo rules romance. So we could see something going on here. For our Aquariuses, things could be blossoming in that way. San Francisco is 8 hours from me, so if there's an earthquake up there, chances are highly unlikely I'll feel it. But I would pray, because the earthquakes up there can be pretty scary. Chantal is being joined by the bee. Oh my goodness, my Aquariuses, this is starting off very nicely. Shanti's being joined by the wasp. Fiona's being joined by the focus card. And Oceana's being joined by the rebirth card. Okay, first thing I want to say to my Aquariuses is don't make any assumptions this week. Okay, don't make an assumption that you know what's going on, because you could undermine yourself inadvertently. Aquarius can be kind of funny because to me, Aquarius is this sort of, the rebel inside of an Aquarius can be appear kind of cold, right? It can be a little bit icy. And because of that, I feel like the sun is melting the ice. That's the way I want to put it, because here is victory in romance. But watch your being energy. Watch your assumptions this week. Watch how, if you assume somebody's behaving a certain way, I think you might be wrong, because I think that things are shifting for you in a good way. And here we have Shanti, the angel of peace, matched with the wasp. This is spirit telling you to be the harbor of peace. Do not react. Do not, because you're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong about something. And if you react about it, you're going to be a little bit behind the 8 ball of apologies, because angels are asking you to focus and allow spirit to open something up for you. And if, this is the sad thing about Aquarius, because Aquarius can feel very exiled, can feel very misunderstood, cannot feel emotionally connected, because a lot of their personality looks to the future. It can be considered quirky or unusual, the colored hair and the random ideas that nobody else thinks about, which are not negative, but sometimes they'll feel like that puts you outside the box. And so somewhere I'm thinking here that Oceana, if you trust a deeper inner knowing rather than a patterned way of being, then you're going to experience something different. So those of you that are dating somebody, or those of you that are in a relationship, don't try your best not to react to something potentially. It could very much be an opportunity to set the stage for something much more fun moving forward, or much more aligned. I also want to say this, because if you're not in the stage of, or you're not entertaining anything romantic in your life, then I think it's very much about pursuing things that bring you joy, or make your life feel like it's worth living, and be aware of the old stories that you potentially tell yourself, because every story ends at some point. And if we want to shift, we can't keep going back to the old story and looking at it, because that's where this feels like it comes in. This never happens for me, blah, 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 that kind of thing. Hey, 145 Club, welcome. Queen Leo's in Jersey. I have a lot of clients on the East Coast, and they're all so wonderful. All right, here we go. On to our Pisces, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our tarot card this week for Pisces is the Three of Pentacles. This very much can indicate a work contract, can indicate the beginning of a collaboration of some kind. There's a sense of mastery with the Three of Pentacles. When we look at this character, it's very interesting, because we see within what would be the body of the character, there are these 3 eggs, and they are gestating. So something is still in process. So whatever the potential collaboration is, it's in process. We also know that the 3 is the number of the Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. Let's see where we're going with this, Pisces. There's this interesting sense of connection here. When I look at the rainbow, I can't help but feel like the rainbow and the stars are all like, somehow there's a unity. There's, we always, when our animals cross, we call it the rainbow bridge. There's something about a bridge here. And maybe part of that bridge, because we see 3 eggs, and then we see the 3 coins with the 3 turtles. The tortoises, turtles, sea turtles, they actually look like to me, which represent Gaia, Mother Earth, the feminine energy, the receptive energy. So let's see where we're going. And you know what this might be for my Pisces? God bless you so much. Love you so much. You've got Saturn going through your first house, yes, but this could very well be about potentially you taking and digging deeper into your connection with the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And there we see that the things of the earth that need to sustain you or to provide for you are there. That's what I feel like the nest is about. And even though those little chicks haven't hatched yet, our first angel for our Pisces is Azure. Your desired outcome will happen in the near future. In our opportunity or our obstacle is Rochelle, the angel of my heart. Crystal is saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon. And then we have Layla, connection to spirit. I really believe that these are times where the human is more aware of the contrast, of the dark and the light inside of this human realm. And we have been trained to fear the dark, and rightfully so at times. But it's also the place where we find our deepest inner resolve and our resources. And that greatest resource is our connection to spirit. So Azure says your desired outcome is happening in the very near future. That's the eggs in the nest. And the nest is over the heart, and it's being cradled with this sort of blue teal color in the stars. So I'm being tasked to have my voice dig deep into my connection with spirit. What is Pisces? The challenge with Pisces is that, there's that spirits, right? And addiction, of course. But when you get past that and you get into the more connected energies that Pisces has to offer, it is really a very beautiful energy for manifesting magical things, meaning beautiful creations and things that appear to be like artists can live in the Pisces energy. And you'll be like, oh, if I made art, it would just be sitting, in my closet because I went to a class, and other people could do the same class, but they're Pisces, and the art can blossom and grow and be sustaining. So somewhere, I think that this is spirit asking you, there's Layla, connect with me so strongly, to connect with spirit about what it is that challenges you right now, or where you feel you need them as teammates so that they can start to connect with you. The Grail Knight is all here about seeking the sacred. And if we know that sword represents the ego of the mind. So now I bowed down to knowing that the ego exists, that I have fears and trepidations. But in order for me to truly manifest, I get a sense of relaxation. And with this deck, this contract feels like it's with my guides and my angels. And I've said that to my guides. If I'm meant to do this work, if I'm meant to be in this relationship, if I've contracted for this, then show that to me through effortless energies. If I'm not meant to, then I'll take the block and move on. Rochelle is being joined by restriction. Rochelle is about your heart, and the restriction card is here. You are somehow blocking your spirituality. Somehow Saturn might be repressing your connection, or you're trying too hard. You can try too hard. Crystal's saying have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see, and something is moving beyond your awareness in the physical. And the final is Merlin, alchemy, justice, and balance. So for my Pisces, yes, I love that. Body, heart, soul. Also, we could say the body, the heart, and the mind. But I want to say that whatever Pisces is walking through, and if for some reason you're walking through a physical challenge, as you align to spirit and you take action that's inspired, you will gain a sense of trust with that connection that will produce results that are magical. And I believe that this could take a lot of, you could be focusing in on wanting a job, because we've got that 3 of Pentacles, that's Mars in Capricorn. We could be focusing in on the idea that in order for me to connect in the physical and to manifest the things I want, my connection to my team, my stars, and my alignment, and my ability to relax and trust the gestation period. Okay. Onward and upward to our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Alrighty. I did the monthlies. The October monthlies are out. Welcome, Sophia. So nice to see you. Oh, she just took her comment away. Well, we were going to look at that for a second. You said something about Mars and Cancer, I think, but I missed it before you took it away. All right. Let's go on to our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, the 10 of Cups. Okay, this is my card. I love it. I'm an Aries rising. The 10 of Cups could not be a happier energy. This is fulfillment. This is pleasure. Mars in Pisces. That makes you the spiritual warrior. Sometimes it's hard with Mars, because Mars, they want to just put Mars in fiery places, and then they land-based Mars for fire. And then, there's these combinations of everything. All right, Aries, 10 of Cups. This is look at this beautiful little trout coming out of this cup at the bottom, looking up at this couple. And there's the dove of peace ahead. We see this beautiful moon and the stars. Everything is coming up roses here. We love this. And when I look at that trout, I can't help but think that bounty is being offered to me, as if the cup represents, an overflowing, and the fish is more than welcome to multiply in order to sustain me. Let's look and see. We also see hummingbirds of joy on this card. We see what I think are moths versus butterflies. And while there may not be a great distinction, the moth feels like I don't know, all of a sudden I went to Maynard ducks, and how the males are also pretty and then the females are brown, or peacocks are the same way. I was kind of getting the feeling that the moth is like this beautiful energy, but it isn't obvious. Yeah, you can. You can remove I think there's 3 little dots on the side that you can edit or remove. All right, here we go. Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Ariel, new psychic and spiritual experiences. Athena, it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. Yes, the timing is right with Isabella. And then Ray is, again, our connection to spirit is essential to our growth. So this is what I want to say, because for me, as an Aries rising, Mars is in my 4th house of home. And damn it, if there aren't, just freaking feels like there's little wars, just little weird things that happen around the neighborhood, everybody's table for one lately, if you know what I mean. So I have decided through my disruptions and my Aries pissed offness that do I act the way my mind wants to react, or can I conquer it in a way that isn't disempowering in the situation, but I'm choosing. So I feel like my guides are applauding me lately, because my mind and my instincts want to do one very mean thing. And then the higher part of myself is like, that's not going to serve me in the long run. I don't need that. Don't need that story again. So I think this is about really, I almost feel like, okay, so Aries is another one of the signs that's been living with square to Pluto. So as you've been transforming, and this is not about letting your fire down, this is not about not being your Aries energy, but it's about using it masterfully, like, a great warrior. So Ariel is being joined by the stag. So now that in order for you to truly live your 10 of cups, it comes from your willingness to stand in leadership for your connection to spirit. Spirit first, and then our actions. The be do have. Athena is being joined by the queen. Now we've got 2 energies, strong female energies, ready to receive what is due her. And when I say that, that is this 10 of cups. So whether you're a man or a woman, you have that receptive energy within your physical aura, within your being energy. Isabella saying, yes, the timing is right for your victory. Oh my gosh, I can only wait for my victory. It's been about a year in the making. And an Ray is being joined by the restriction card. Okay, now this is an interesting energy, because this is reminding our Mars-ruled people that your victory comes through your constant connection to spirit. And when I say that, I mean, literally, I talk to spirit like I talk to friends. I'm like, hey, good morning. So it's going to be a day. Or if I have, give me a sign for this, or if I'm meant to do that, blah, blah, blah. And so I feel that for my Aries, standing in leadership for your connection, because we start this way, then we allow ourselves to receive our inspired action. Then we take that inspired action and we become victorious. And then we go right back into cycle, where we pause long enough to stand in, I want to say, gratitude and appreciation for the choices that we've been making that demonstrate our awareness, aka evolution. I harp a little bit about Mars's transit through Gemini a couple of years ago, 2022, 2023. We saw Mars having to really sit back and think about how he interacts with other people, for 7 months. And I think Mars learned something, because now Mars has just revisited the Gemini energy again, and now it's in the Cancer energy. And it's about to have an opposition to Pluto at the end of October. Check out your monthly video, because that's going to be a real doozy. And we're going to start feeling that the full moon is going to make a square to Pluto on the 17th. And I want to emphasize that sun is on the voice of angels, Speaka. So something will be illuminated, and it could be from spirit, not just the world. All right, Taurus, are you ready? We're going to Taurus, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your tarot card, ooh, is a 21, the world. This is beautiful. This is the last card in the tarot deck where the Fool has an understanding of the human roller coaster. Transformation is everywhere. We see again these sea turtles. That's Mother Ocean giving us that connection to spirit. We see the tree of life, and the character within the tree knows how to understand the world's rules, boundaries, and limitations. Because the human experience does have its rules, boundaries, and limitations, and yet this character has learned how to manifest bounty through those. And I think that's also the wisdom of knowing when to put on the gas, when not to put on the gas. We have Uranus going through the first house of Taurus. It has been for a while, really bringing in lightning strike ideas, new, we think of Uranus ruling the future, ruling, really pulling our sight up into the stars and being able to see from a different place. It's very subtle, but there is a framing behind this world. And we have what looks like the sun, the moon, a square, and a triangle. And that almost feels like it's like we've learned how to work with the trines and the squares that astrology represents, and with the ebb and the flow of our ego's assertion and our emotional connection. So this is a reward card. Let's see where we're going. And Taurus rules earth, meaning like plowing the fields, tending to trees, gardens, picking apples off the trees to make pies. So I feel like there's more bounty going. I also feel like that the turtles are representing a bit of flow going around the. Okay, let me go back. The turtles are beneath the tree. So there's a feeling of swimming within the evolution of my own unconscious, and the butterflies at the top of the tree feel as if they represent the evolution or the awareness or the transformation as I swam up through Mother Ocean's, what she had to offer me. Okay, so for my Tauruses, Isaiah is saying it's a good time to begin something new. Chantal, the angel of romance. Wow, she's just knocking out now, isn't she? She's been here a couple times. We have Archangel Michael offering a change, and then and Ariel. All right, let's look where we're going. Isaiah is being joined by the spider, which is a relationship card for me. Chantal's been joined by the owl. Archangel Michael's being joined by the queen. And Ariel's being joined by the cat. This feels kind of twofold to me, because depending upon your age or your chapter in life, there could be a couple things going on. Because I absolutely believe, for those that have wanted to bring little humans onto the planet, that if you've struggled, it's because the transits suck and they don't want them in their natal chart. And when Jupiter moves into Cancer in June of 2025, so anybody who gets pregnant like now through June, well, let's say through halfway through 2025, maybe, Jupiter will still be in Cancer. And I think a lot of kids or souls will want to come in during that time, because it will it's a beautiful energy. Because Isaiah is not only pregnant, but we have our relationship card here. But this is a gestational period. Now, for those of you that are not in childbearing years, this could be a couple of things. This could be giving life to new ideas and situations about either opening yourself up to new social groups and platforms over the web, or new relationships. And that doesn't necessarily have to be love relationships, because I feel like Chantal is representing more than just intimate love in this place. But how everything that you love has a duality to it. Even if you have the best thing in the world and there's no problems, we're all going to live and die. And at some point, if you love something, you'll feel pain. So I think that this is bringing up the reward. And I believe that Archangel Michael is asking Taurus to have the courage to be fertile in what they believe they want, to allow for the gestation of more things versus, sometimes the Taurus energy is slow. Like it's very, I need a lot of time to feel comfortable. And in the meantime, the world itself is like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So the only comfort you'll ever have is how you process things from the inside out. So I feel like this is about having 9 lives, the cat, in relation to my connection to spirit. So if I, as a Taurus, want to create a relationship, want to create more friends, want to create a bigger presence on the internet, Uranus going through your first house, you could very easily find yourself in situations that foster that and in a reward cycle. But part of that is understanding that there is new life to be given. One of the signs got the 9 of wands. I think it was actually Libra. And I almost want to go back to that. It's like, don't overly protect yourself. Allow spirit to bring a new existence in, a new situation for you to experience that offers reward. And it may be similar to where you've been before. So if you've been in love before, or if you've been in a relationship and it crashed and burned, and then spirit is offering you a new relationship, don't bring your old relationship into the new one. Bring your awarenesses, bring your wisdom, but don't bring your issues, because something wants to give you a benefit. Spirit is trying to open something up and give you new life. Okay, going on to our Geminis. Benefit, boss, it's been a minute. Good to see you. All right, onward and upward, as I say every week. I'm really digging this new deck. Got a new deck. It's called the Star Tarot. For anybody who wants to go look it up. Got a beautiful book that comes with it, which gives a lot of symbolism, which is nice because the cards here are very different than the natural tarot. So the symbolism is a little different. I'm still learning it. Only got it yesterday. All right, on to our Geminis. All right, guys, Gemini, you're on the docket, meaning you're up to bat because you got Gemini in your first house retrograding. And for some reason, as I say that, I feel like spirit is telling me that you're going to revisit things that have happened over the last 3 to 6 months. There's something that's going to come back that you're going to revisit from a higher realm. I'm just totally having a channeling experience right now. And spirit is asking, just showed me, bet on yourself. Like, put your money down on you. Don't know what that means. Let's see what the card has to say. The 4 of Cups. Now, this is a very interesting energy because this character in the natural tarot is unsatisfied. He's staring at what he has and he's looking at it like, oh God, there's nothing there. Nothing's working. I don't have anything. And yet God is offering a cup. Capricorn. Oh, sorry. No, we are on Gemini. We start with the birthday month. I've already done Capricorn. Samita. I hope I said that right. Okay, so Gemini. Here we see these cranes. All birds represent messages of some kind. So here we see that this character, her chakras are lit up. We see that her hands are covering her base chakra. I feel like when I look at this, that spirit is very much offering me something. The frog is underneath the lily pads, but he's obscured from her sight because she's not looking. So the frog represents abundance. Those cranes represent something more than just flight, because there's something about traversing the land and the air with that crane. And the lotus flowers feel as if they're about to open up. And then we see the sun above. So this character, so Gemini, this is where I'm going with this. 4 of Cups is saying that God and the angels are going to offer you something. There's a potential for bounty with it, but part of that is allowing yourself to connect to your higher realms versus sitting in your base chakra about, I have $500 and I have $1,000 worth of bills. What am I going to do? I'm just using that as an example because as you review something, Jupiter's going to want to expand it. And I think that part of that expansion for Gemini is not always trying to figure out how to plan the action steps. Again, we're looking at normally in the Four of Cups in the Rider Waite deck, God and the angels are handing the character a cup that he cannot see, or it's a he in that one. So here, I think that Jupiter is representing that cup that you can't see that could be expansion and bounty beyond what you know. And so I have to stop looking at what I know as solid and stuck. How's that? Solid and stuck. Always great to see new faces in the room. All right, we have Crystal saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon, Gemini. You know that Jupiter rules faith. Obviously, it rules religion, rules the connection to the angelic realm, so it rules faith. And here's the card of victory. First time we've seen Omega today. Azure says your desired outcome is coming. And then Sonia is spirit. So I got to tell you, something's happening and you can't see how it's going to happen. Your job is not, I feel again, sometimes we as humans just think, I got to take action. I got to take action. I got to move. And it's really an ebb and a flow. Take action that's inspired and then sit back. And the sit back is not about being lazy. The sit back is like sitting back and determining, is my next action a fear-based action or is it an inspired action? Again, the cup of love being offered through God. Okay. It sounded so choppy. In the normal deck, the cup of love is being offered by God to the character. We see Crystal being joined by the water fairy. This is very much opening up your intuitive self. That's a little bit of a challenge of being Gemini because you're not only mercurial ruled, you rule a sense of duality. So you can get stuck in the back and the forth of the duality, contemplating this and contemplating that. Omega is offering victory within your creativity and optimism and your fire, your passion. We have Azure saying that there's a timing issue, but your desire is coming. It's magical. Now, that's also where I want to offer, oftentimes the human's like, well, it hasn't happened yet, so it's not going to happen. That is not true. It hasn't happened yet oftentimes because we are aligned to what we see in the 3D world that is not satisfying us instead of what has an opportunity to come in through spirit. And here is Sonia being joined by the dog, unconditional love, loyalty, and sincerity. I'm telling you, Gemini, something great is happening through your transit. Now, let me offer you this idea, okay? Because Cancer is your second house. Cancer, I just got chills everywhere. When Jupiter leaves your first house and goes into your second house, where it's exalted. So it goes from detriment to feeling like, oh, dear God, do I have to look at all these details? Why do I want to look at all these details? Can't we just take my vision statement and move forward? The challenging side of Sagittarius is it's like entitled. It lives up on the mountain, lofty, meditating, living in this kind of contained environment. And it gets down in the valley where the Gemini people live and there's traffic and there's all this stuff and it gets shocked. But this is the beauty of it because in the review, Jupiter has an opportunity to really become more educated, to get a higher minded view of why it's important to be down in the valley. And here, I think that there's something on the horizon for Gemini because Pisces is your 10th house, if I remember correctly. And that makes me excited about a shift in your career. Even if Saturn feels a little repressive right now, using Neptune's energy to dream a little bit. And then Saturn's about putting in the structure, the everyday. Okay, Saturn, I'm willing to do the hard work of believing in myself. I'm willing to do the hard work of noticing my mind go back and forth and knowing that one side is tanking me and the other side is trying to move me into my dream sector. Because being connected through spirit, this is such a theme. Here's this cup of God being offered to this character that can only see what is manifested now. Here's about faith in the future. Here's about victory. Here's about the timing of something. And then here is spirit saying, it's happening. Be loyal to your soul. Details can be a pain in the ass. I totally get it. But it's the combination of the two. That's what Jupiter has to offer through Gemini right now. is this combination of seeing a bigger picture of what can be. And I also think that when it comes to business, when it comes to birthing myself, we so often only think of Jupiter as foreign people, foreign businesses, travel, higher education. Not everybody gets a higher education through an actual, school. Sometimes you get that education through traveling. Samita, if you'd like to get a personal reading, my information is below. I'm happy to do that. I am going to start producing a new little ditty for the monthlies. We're going to do your monthly money and your monthly love with the tarot deck. But I'm starting those launches in November. I'm working with someone new, so we're just getting our materials together. I want to win the lotto too. Me too. Okay, you ready? We're going on to our Cancer, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Temperance. This is a Sagittarian energy. This is an energy of flow. This is an energy of balance. This is an energy of, when we see the rainbows, everything feels like it's coming up sort of yummy and warm. And I want to say this too, because when we look at this character, I think of this as Archangel Gabriel. I think of when I look at the wings and then the rainbow above, there's so many hues and colors of how to, even sometimes in the darkest of situations, there can be light. There can be something beautiful. And I feel like that's what temperance is showing me. Years ago in 2003, I experienced losing everything I own. It was devastating. I wasn't in a flood like the people that are from the hurricane, but banditos stole my things when I was moving. And the kindness of others was an amazing thing. And it really changed my perspective. And I realized that big loss brought in a lot of love, a lot of people who showed compassion for me. So I think that this is about balance somehow. Mars is traveling through your first house. Mars is not, the happiest in your first house. And actually, when I think about it, Mars in Cancer could be beautiful because you could be assertive and you could be emotionally connected. But just in transit, it's a little bit challenging because in a natal chart, you're going to work on that or you're going to be aware of it throughout your lifetime. But now in transit, this to me, temperance is balance. If we look at the 1 and the 4, it reduces down to a 5. The 5 is freedom. So the balance could be for and this is interesting too, because this is for Cancer. And look at her foot is in the water and there's the moon. So maybe this is about having the courage and the bravery to express something with balance. Let's see where we're going. She's dipping her toe in there. Yep. We always see that with temperance where there's one foot on land and one foot in water, the land being the physical, the water representing the spiritual. Okay, here we go, Cancer. Maya, the angel of schooling and education. Sonia, the connection to your team, your heavenly team. Adriana, leading you somewhere. And Layla, this is all about connecting. We also know that Pluto, and anybody who's in the last degrees of Cancer. So if you're like, July 20th, July 19th, even the 21st, I'm pretty sure the 22nd is the day when it turns to Leo, you're experiencing that opposition. And again, that opposition to Pluto is at 29 degrees, 38 minutes, which is representing how you think, reducing down to those 11s. The 11s are that one. So you could very well be getting an education in balance, that you are as important as those that you love and care for. Maya is being joined by the mystery card. So this is about choice to learn instead of being stubborn in how you're doing things. Not that Cancer can be stubborn, but depending upon your rising sign, you might be. Well, no, this is Cancer rising. I'm sorry, I meant to say your moon or your sun. All right, we have Adriana being joined by the cat, and then we have the hawk joining Layla. Okay, so to me, your balance is going to come from your connection to spirit right now. Both of these roads lead to two different experiences. We see one almost looks like a sun, one looks like a moon. We see here there's an opportunity to learn about balance as I connect more succinctly with my team and know that I'm being led into the balance is me being an individual, loving myself, having my own desires, wanting my Cancer is a sign of the mother. Cancer is a sign of nurturing. Cancer is a sign of healing. And sometimes with the water signs, and not so much Scorpio, but with Cancer and Pisces, there's an absorption into the other. And that absorption is not serve you really, because it ends up being, I love you, I love you, I love you. And then at some point, it's like, when are you going to give me what I need back? And so here, Spirit is saying, connect again with us and look for the signs and the omens of how to lovingly assert yourself towards your own personal needs so that those around you can learn about the balance. There's a weird feeling sometimes with the humans where you get into a cycle where if you're not giving, you think that love is just going to be thrown away. And I don't think that's necessarily true. And I think the more we can self-soothe and take care of ourselves, the less pressure that puts on the people that we love, and we can love them more authentically. So somewhere there must be some balance. And if Mars is making you pissed off and you've been holding it in, then this would be about expressing it with a balance. And I'll tell you, when you're pointing your finger at somebody, it never works. I can cuss like a sailor, I got to tell you. But when I'm fighting with somebody, I will never call them an asshole. I will never tell them to F off. I will never call them a D, you know what? I will never use bad words because they're too broad and they don't tell anybody anything, but I'm angry. So what do? I get my freaking Jupiter in Sagittarius and I start saying big words and describing exactly why I'm angry. So this would be Mars more efficiently used in the sign of Cancer. So I really think this is about potentially individualizing yourself, what you need in your home, what you need to feel soothed, nurtured, healed, loved. And if you have to start giving that to yourself first, well, that might be how we show everybody else how it happens. Okay, that's Cancer. Cold Earl Grey tea is terrible. I just don't mind saying that. That's just how I feel. Are we ready for our Leos? The Hierophant. This is a beautiful energy. Here we see a very strong Taurus energy because the Taurus energy is represented here by the bull. We also see in the natural tarot, we see a sense of feeling. We look at the crown, we see all the stars coming up for our Leos, right? So we know that this connection to spirit helps when we're walking through those icy times when we don't understand. The labyrinth beneath it feels as if that there is a certain, when I look at this labyrinth and I see the stones, they almost look like runes. And then I see what is this dove of peace and the heart. I feel like there's all sorts of patterns that we can take, choices that we can make, and how we walk around this circle of life. We actually see, oh, I didn't even notice that. We see the Hierophant is pointing at the heart here. What does Leo rule? The heart, to have courage. So while the Hierophant will represent sort of this energy of a bigger sort of belief system of you always see that religious figure, which takes me into that Sagittarius energy. And at the same time, with the Taurus energy, it would be about putting into the earth your belief system and knowing that your strong connection to God and the angels helps. This feels like more rainbows to me. They're like they don't really seem to be coming out of his robe as much as they are sort of the background of his stone throne. And his stone throne has all the signs of, there's symbols of astrology on them. There's symbols of yin and yang, meaning man and woman. So here we're talking about balance. Somehow, for my Leos, what you want to manifest gets activated through your heart chakra. And I think this is going to be about courage to move forward. We also see on the other side of the Hierophant, well, on either side, there's a bull on one side and then there's a bear on the other. But the bear has this lightning strike, lightning bolt, almost like Harry Potter. And I feel like that's a little bit of, again, I feel protection from the bear. I feel like, oh, you know what? I feel like I'm coming out of hibernation and I've had an idea. And that idea is how I connect more succinctly to the stars here. Yeah, people do read the reverse cards. I only read them if I feel called to read them that way, because I think that the major energy of the card is depicted upon it. And it's never 100% just because it's straight up, and it's never completely compromised. It's always a choice of energy. So as the Hierophant chooses to take the bull's tenacity and to continue to connect with my stars, my team, and I go from my heart, I know I'm going to walk around the earth and I'm going to have to encounter the elements and the oh my God, what's my words? I'm looking at the symbols at the same time. Okay, the earth element there are laws here, the law of gravity, the law of attraction. I am learning how to use those laws to my advantage here. That's what I'm getting at. If you look, you can see a huge star that's created. He touches the heart, and then it dings all those stone runes. And we see a star in the middle of the star, and we see the angel of peace, the dove. So here, I feel like this is very much like I understand how things connect, and I'm at peace with the journey. All right, Leo, our first angel is Mystique. Keep charging ahead. Expect miraculous solutions. Athena is saying to lovingly assert yourself. Omega is saying victory is upon us. And then we have Archangel Uriel, which is about frustration. Sometimes it'll just hit me that the energy is reversed, but I don't know why. I just always kind of wanted to simplify it. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'll shift a little bit. Mystique is being joined by the restriction card. Athena is being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. Omega is being joined by the mystery card, and Archangel Uriel is being joined by the earth fairy. I want to offer this because for my Leos, you have Pisces as your 6th house. Wait, no, 8th house. Sorry. Pisces is your 8th house. And I say this because I'm almost feeling like when I look at this Hierophant, Leo, Aquarius, Pisces, yes. And then Aries is going to be your 9th house. Because there's something here when I feel like when I'm looking at this, that even though there's restriction of some kind, if there is no results in front of your face, that keep charging ahead, because I feel as if you have something to learn about trusting a bigger picture, trusting your connection to spirit, trusting your heart. You rule the heart, you rule courage. This Hierophant is touching the heart to activate the star. Now, as you assert yourself, you're offered a rebirth. Now, we know, Leo, that Pluto is going to move from your 6th house into your 7th house. It's just borderline. So there could potentially be things within your career that have not manifested, or there could be things that are being removed. Again, that toxic energy that will then open things up to a bigger picture. And you can't know that because you're still walking through the process. The angels are offering you victory, but you have to choose it. You choose it by surrendering to the rebirth and looking at a bigger picture, because right now they're kind of saying you're frustrated, and that would be even further indicated by the lack of movement here. So I want to say it this way. Let's say you're creating something. Let's say you're creating, a new way of income. You're creating something that feels individual. Because a 5 is individual. 5 is freedom. 5 is some sort of release from the box. of the 4. So now I think there's going to be a lightning strike that is protected after a period of hibernation, and that this is offering you an opportunity to walk through this with peace. Is Queen Leo still in the room? Because I'd be interested to see how her job went, because I think she was having some stuff going on. And so here, we don't want that frustration and anger to affect your physical well-being while you're going through the process. Something is definitely in process because the angels are saying so. How'd your job thing go? Did you get that worked out, Queen Leo? Or did you get that figured out? Because I know there was some disruption, if I remember correctly, around that. That feels like it could be, like, I feel like that might be what they're talking about here. Okay, on to our final sign of the day, our Virgos, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. I haven't had bologna in so long. When I was a little kid, they used to make fried bologna sandwiches with mustard and Wonder Bread. Can you imagine? All right, here we go. Virgo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. The 7 of Swords. This is an interesting energy because oftentimes this card is you'll see this character take 5 swords and looks like he's slinking out of stealing them or something. But here we see something a little bit different in this deck, because this is about taking leadership for your purity, for the things that you want that come from God and the angels. This white stag is beautiful, yes, with the moon embraced within those strong antlers, saying that this is a powerful energy. Now, when we see the 2 swords sitting on land, these are the thoughts that this guy's aware of. Then we see the sword that's piercing the water, where the other 4 swords are. That's a willingness to look at the subconscious. We see within the water, we'll see the reflection of the stag, but you don't see the antlers reflected. So there is something here that sits beneath him that comes from before, that comes from when this character was younger. We see that there's fish. It could be, it looks kind of like a catfish to me. I'm not sure, but we have fish underneath the water. We also see the lily pads, which to me sort of refers that there's potential for sustenance through the murky waters. And I have to be a little bit willing to pierce those thoughts so that I can move from one lily pad to another. Let's see where we're going. Welcome, Millionaire Joe. Whoa. You know what else is interesting, and I'm going to say this for Virgo, is that when I look at this character, the buck, the stag, I feel like when he looks in the water or considers his own reflection, he doesn't see himself clearly. He doesn't see his leadership. You know, if you think about the water being sort of like a mirror and a reflection, and I see a younger version of him, I feel like he hasn't acknowledged his wisdom. Let's see where we're going. Our first angel is Vanessa, the angel of faith or hope. Athena is here again, an opportunity to assert myself. Mystique is here in the angel's advice. And then Archangel Gabriel is all about communication. We have Vanessa being joined by the wind fairy, which is very Virgonian. We have Athena being joined by the earth fairy. We have Mystique being joined by the restriction card. That's happened twice now. Oh, it's Jay, not Joe. Sorry, Jay. I apologize. My glasses need to be cleaned. I might need a new prescription. And Archangel Gabriel is the forgiveness card. Okay. For my Virgos, we know that for the late degree Virgos, we know that Neptune is opposing your first house. But the interesting thing about that is if you're a late degree Virgo rising, you are creeping up on the supergalactic center at 2 degrees of Libra, which would be where you see yourself as source and you command that leadership within yourself. Now, then we go to the idea that Saturn is walking through your 7th house. If there is restriction there, I think that restriction is offering a reflection that allows you to be more independent. The 7s themselves, 7s for me are numbers of where I'm looking at things through more balance, more intellectual balance of fairness, like the seventh house. Now we see Vanessa and the wind fairy. Virgo isn't easy for Virgo to have faith, because faith is something that just sits like a bubble over your head, and Virgo wants something to process, something to do, something to analyze. And I think here the analyzation is if you're holding on to something, a version of yourself that is no longer applicable. Your horns have grown, your antlers have blossomed. You have this sense of receptivity coming with that moon energy. Now I have this ability to assert myself in the earth plane. And while this could potentially represent your physical health, I feel like it's a foundational thing to assert yourself from a 2.0 version, not the old version. The more you tell yourself, oh, I just saw something else. The 29 reduces down to an 11. I've been talking about Pluto being at 29 degrees, 38 minutes, 1111. So we're being alerted to that we're rewriting our thoughts. Now we see the Earth fairies at 27, which is the Gemini degree, which is mercurial. So here, this is asserting myself in my mercurial energies in a more grounded way. And now I keep charging ahead regardless of, and this charging ahead is about my thoughts, about the self-reflection, about the idea that I have evolved past a version of myself. Because Archangel Gabriel and the forgiveness card, Archangel Gabriel would rule you, and that would also indicate communications and turning over any insecurities that you may have. And then there's a reconciliation of the energy. So I want to offer this idea just to round things up. I think many people are going to either get side hustles or start something where they can make more money, through their own independent endeavors. I think that's happening across the boards. Now, as you start to get the momentum of that, you'll feel a sense of trust with the flow of it, right? But in the beginning, there'll be all these weird, oh, can I do this and can't I do that, and da 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 da. As you sit in this receptive energy, knowing, because again, when we look at the real intellectual signs or the earth signs, we see the biggest transformation being offered for the audience, meaning the audience can be like, wow, this guy used to be like, he just thought I had to work so hard. If he didn't work hard, he was going to get fired, da, da, da. Whatever that rule is. Because in breaking that rule, in breaking the old story and allowing the leadership of the stag to flourish, you'll feel a sense of reconciliation, which means you'll be like, oh, I get it. And now I feel even stronger in what I can build. I want to say this too for my Virgos, because being aware of I kind of want to call it stress, but stress feels a little bit too broad. Being aware of daily habitual thoughts that you have. And I'll give you a little example. I used to have this thought like, you done me wrong, you done me wrong, you did me wrong. And I started to realize that the more I thought about everyone who did me wrong, I wasn't allowing anyone who could do me right into my world. So I stopped that thought. Not like that, but I became aware of it. And then the more I was aware of it, the more it decreased. So, and I don't care if it's a fans only page. I don't care how people make their money. If they feel good about it and they feel confident about it, then have a good time. Enjoy yourself. If you're not like hurting babies or puppies or kitties, animals at large, I'm fine. Oh, isn't that the funniest thing? They do have, like, there's fetishes on that thing. And if you have good feet, maybe you could make a lot of money off your feet, just taking pictures of your feet. Who cares? Fred Flintstone's feet got that car moving. That's all I got to say. All right, everybody. So that's it for this week. I'll be back next week. And again, I'm going to start teeing you up. I've been working with this wonderful woman, not just Small Wildflowers, but a young woman in Oregon who's helping me with my new thumbnails. I don't know if you've noticed the artwork. We're trying to, make things more exciting. So we're working on intros. I'm going to start filming a tarot, money and love tarot for you for each month, along with your monthlies. And we'll be opening a new Instagram account pretty soon, where we'll be focusing in on the astrology there. All right. And everybody be mindful, because we are going into next couple weeks, we're going to have a very intense full moon, which is going to have 2 T-squares focusing in on Mars and Pluto and the nodes. So, or the sun and the moon as well. So be mindful. Do your best to stay away from people that irritate you, aggravate you, trigger you, poke the bear. And if you can't avoid them, get earplugs. All right, everybody. I will be back next Sunday morning at 11. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, commenting, and sharing. I love you all. And I try to respond to the comments. Unfortunately, I'm trying to create content at the same time. And sometimes I just can't get enough done in one day. All right, everybody. I will see you soon. Thank you, Benefit Boss. It's so wonderful to have you up in the room. Hi, Lucy. I don't even know if I said hi to you. Catherine Blair, good to see you too. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Have a lovely week. Peace out.